Hello and welcome to Grammar and Writing Lesson 6. Hope you all are doing well, having a good day today. Let's get started with our vocabulary. Make sure you have your notebooks and pencils and are ready to go. Don't forget you can pause the video if you need to make sure you're writing everything down. Yes, you do need to make sure you're writing down your words. If you're not writing down the words, the definitions, well, first of all, I'll know when I check your work, and secondly, won't be able to study them or use them later on in your homework. So make sure you're writing them down. It's for your benefit. Okay. Climactic. Climactic. That's your first vocabulary word. Climactic. Climactic means the climax or culmination. The climax or culmination. Now those are big words too, and you're probably wondering, what on earth did those words mean? Well, it just means the most important part, or the biggest part that you come to. It's what everything adds up to. Let's look at it in an example. The climactic portion of the plot generally occurs about 2/3 of the way into the story. So the big important part of the story usually happens about 2/3 of the way into the story. Climates. Climates. That is the general weather of a region over a period of years. So it's talking about like one place, your basic weather. Like here in Roatan, we would say that the climate is generally hot and a little rainy sometimes. That's your climate. For example, deserts are famous for their arid climates. Arid means hot and dry. So deserts, they have a very hot, dry climate. Over the years, that's what we have observed. That's what we have learned about deserts. All right, let's practice. Fill in the blank with the correct vocabulary word. The last-minute goal was a blank way to win the game. The Mediterranean blank with its mild temperatures appears to many. Oops, I'm sorry, that shouldn't be appears, that should be appeals. That's why I stopped for a second. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Appeals is what that word should be. Appeals basically means people like it, they enjoy it. So let's just change that R into a really fat L. Okay. The Mediterranean blank with its mild temperature appeals to many. Number 3, the movie's blank action enthralled the audience. Enthralled means that it interested them and excited them. The movie's blank action. Alaska's blank does not appeal to those who dislike the cold. There's that word appeal. All right, make sure you've written down all your answers. The last-minute goal was a climactic way to win the game. So big, important, very interesting. Number 2, the Mediterranean climate with its mild temperatures appeals to many. Number 3, the movie's climactic action enthralled the audience. Number 4, Alaska's climate does not appeal to those who dislike the cold. All right, let's look at your grammar lesson for today. We're talking about sentences still. Woo! The sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete thought and contains a subject and a predicate. Remember, the subject, that's who or what is doing the action, and the predicate is the action or the state of being. In our example sentence here, the way of the Lord is strength to the upright. Your complete subject is the way of the Lord. Your simple subject, just that one main idea, is way. Your complete predicate is strength to the upright. Your simple predicate is just is, that state of being verb. So way is. Don't forget what we talked about before. Your simple subject can't be Lord because Lord is part of a prepositional phrase, of the Lord. And your subject can never be in a prepositional phrase. To find the subject and the verb in your sentence, number 1, you need to find the verb first. Look for a word that shows action and look for words from the verb lists. Remember your helping verb list, your being verb list, you need to look at those verbs as well as for verbs that show action. So you always find the verb first. After you find the verb, find the subject. So to find the subject, you ask who or what before the verb and never look in a prepositional phrase like I just said. So you found your verb, for example, in the sentence, Susie runs really fast. What's the action? Runs. Who or what runs? Susie runs. So Susie is your subject. To overcome problems locating subjects and verbs, because sometimes in your sentence, your subject and verb are not where they normally should be. In English, normally your subject comes first and your verb after, but there are exceptions, so watch out for these things. First one is inverted order. To invert something means to turn it around, to do it backwards. So inverted means that the verb comes first and the subject comes second. So you have inverted order, for example, when you have an interrogative sentence. Will you go with us? That's my sentence. Will you go with us? Will is your verb as well as go. You will go. So when you want to find the subject, who will go? You will go. You will go with us. That's your subject and verb, but it's been inverted. Your helping verb came first instead of your subject coming first. It can be easier to find the subject in sentences like this when you change the interrogative sentence into a declarative sentence first. So you switch that around and you make it a declarative sentence. You will go with us. You're making a statement. You comes first, then your verb will go. So it's a little easier to see. To overcome problems locating subjects and verbs, be careful with this type of inverted order. Sentences that are beginning with there or here. Automatically, when you see there or here at the beginning of your sentence, just keep in the back of your mind that the order is probably switched around. There are several reasons for my answer. What's your verb? That's right, are. Are. So, what are? Well, it's not there. Did you find it? Reasons are. Reasons are. So you have to be careful. There is not going to ever be your subject. So just keep that in mind. There and here will not be your subjects. So you have to look somewhere else. Your verb came first, your subject came after. Sometimes you have to be careful because you have an imperative sentence. Come here. What's your verb? Come, that's right. So where's your subject? Remember, it's not going to be here, so what is it? That's right, it's understood you. Who comes? You come. You're the one who's coming, so you come here. Now there are interrupted verb phrases. So here, you will not always win every race. What's your verb? Well, that's what we have to be careful for, because your subject is right up in front, you. But your verb is not just will. That's part of it. Will, who will, you will, but there's more to it. Right here, not always is in between our helping verb and our main verb, win. So we have to be careful that sometimes your verb phrase is interrupted. Interrupted means something came in the middle. So will win is your verb, you is your subject. This trips up you guys a lot when there's something in the middle. You have to keep looking. You can't just stop at the first word that fits as a verb. You have to keep going and make sure you found all of it. Sometimes this is all you'll have will be one word, like that. But sometimes you have another part, so you have to keep looking. Let's talk about your writing. We're talking about knowing when to paragraph today. Oh, excuse me, one thing I forgot to mention is your homework. You make sure that you're following your homework schedule and you do the correct grammar pages. Okay, knowing when to paragraph. make sure you have your notes. This is very important. Let's talk through it. Paragraphs make writing easier to read and understand. When you have everything in just one long thing without breaking for a paragraph, it can be very hard to read. It can be very confusing. So break up your writing piece into paragraphs to make it smaller and easier to read. A new paragraph tells the reader there will be a new idea. Remember, each paragraph starts with a topic sentence with one main idea. So when you want to change ideas, change direction in your writing, you change your paragraphs. As you write and revise just means that you go back over it, find mistakes, make your writing better and stronger. Begin a new paragraph for each important ideas and put related ideas together. So, like I said earlier, make sure that you start a new paragraph each time you change an idea. And if you have similar ideas, group those paragraphs together so that it makes sense. It has a good logical order. If the setting, that means like where your writing is taking place, something like that, or the speaker changes, start a new paragraph. This is especially important when you are writing dialogue or something like that. You will need to change a paragraph when your speaker changes. If a paragraph is too full of ideas, so maybe you thought, oh, it'll just be one idea and some like little supporting ideas, but you get too big, too full of ideas, break it up into smaller paragraphs. When you see a great big long paragraph, that's scary, right? You want to break it down into smaller paragraphs so it's easier to read, it's more approachable. So for your homework, you need to complete the page Knowing When to Paragraph on page 72. When you break something into a paragraph, you'll need this in your homework, you make this little symbol as you are proofreading. This means you're going to stop, and that's going to be your paragraph. So let's say if this were a paragraph and you got to this sentence and you said, ooh, right here, I want to make a new paragraph. You would write this symbol. And then when you are rewriting it, once you got to that symbol, you'd say, oops, okay, new paragraph. You'd break that off, indent it, and start new from there. All right, that is your English lesson for today. Have a great day. Can't wait to be with you guys again soon. Love you so much. Bye.